That was impossible. Every law of biology we trusted said so. Every archive agreed. Every elder confirmed it. Yet I watched the impossible breathe. I am Archivist Velrin of the Ninth Memory Fleet. I was trained to observe, to measure, to understand. Humans destroyed all three. Our scanners found the bunker beneath 8 kilometers of fused stone. No power signature. No radio traffic. No life. The world above had been dead for 187 cycles. We celebrated. The last human colony had finally vanished. That was the official conclusion. Official conclusions usually survive longer than reality. We opened the bunker. The air smelled wrong. Old. Dry. Metal. Something else lingered beneath it. Hope. I had no word for it then. The corridors were silent. Machines still blinked. Doors still obeyed invisible commands. Dust covered everything except a single trail. Fresh footprints. Impossible again. My team blamed automated maintenance drones. That explanation comforted them. Humans always preferred machines over living beings. That was our first mistake. We reached the central chamber. Hundreds of cryopods stood in perfect rows. Every pod belonged to my species. Women. Scientists. Pilots. Doctors. Engineers. Captured during the border collapse generations ago. Every one of them alive. Every one of them sleeping. One pod stood apart. Different. Primitive. Human. Male. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because my mind refused another answer. One human. Hundreds of alien women. No guards. No restraints. No weapons. He should have been dead long ago. Instead, his pod displayed one message. Emergency revival authorized. I assumed it was a malfunction. Humans built terrible software. Everyone knew that. I ordered the pod disconnected. Nothing happened. I cut external power. Nothing changed. The machine kept running. Its batteries should have died centuries earlier. They had not. My technician suggested hidden reactors. Reasonable. Comforting. Wrong. The pod opened by itself. Cold vapor filled the chamber. The human fell onto the floor. He looked fragile. Thin. Scarred. Too small. His hair was dark. His face carried lines of exhaustion. His heartbeat staggered like a failing engine. I relaxed. This was no warrior. This was no monster. This was only biology catching up. He coughed once. Blood landed on the floor. Then he stood. I marked the event as involuntary muscle response. Humans often twitched before death. He looked around slowly. His eyes stopped on the sleeping chambers. Something changed in his face. I believed it was fear. Later I realized I had never actually seen human fear. He walked toward the nearest pod. His movements were uneven. Weak. Every step looked painful. He placed one shaking hand against the glass. No words. Only silence. Our security drones surrounded him. 40 plasma rifles. Perfect firing lines. The human ignored them. I concluded humans lacked situational awareness. Wrong again. One drone aimed directly at his skull. The human reached into a nearby cabinet instead. No panic. No hesitation. He removed a tiny medical injector. He treated himself. Then he sat quietly beside the pod. Waiting. Nothing else. That confused me more than violence would have. Our records described humans as aggressive. Predictable. Territorial. Instead, he behaved like stone. Hours passed. He never moved. He simply watched the sleeping aliens. I reported that humans entered a dormant mental state before death. My captain approved the analysis. He trusted evidence. Evidence lied. The first woman awakened. She screamed. Understandable. She had been asleep for generations. She expected prison. Instead, she found freedom. In a human. She reached for a surgical tool. The human slowly raised both empty hands. No threats. No demands. He pointed toward the exit, then lowered his head. Submission. Ridiculous. Humans never surrendered voluntarily. I decided he had accepted extinction. She fled. The second woman woke. Then the third. Each reacted differently. Confusion. Shock. Suspicion. The human repeated the same behavior. No violence. No speeches. No celebration. Only distance. I built a pattern. Humans avoided conflict when hopelessly outnumbered. Simple. Logical. Incorrect. Our captain entered the chamber with honor guards. He ordered the human restrained. No resistance. Exactly as predicted. Magnetic cuffs locked around human wrists. The captain smiled. Primitive species, he said. The human said nothing. His silence irritated everyone. We mistook silence for emptiness. The medical scans arrived. Every officer read them twice. Then 3 times. His body should have failed decades ago. Radiation damage. Organ failure. Bone fractures. Chemical poisoning. Severe malnutrition. Any single condition was fatal. He carried all of them. Alive. I dismissed the scans as corrupted. Machines fail. Biology does not. Our chief physician repeated every test. Same result. The human should already be dead. He wasn't. He asked for water. Just water. We gave it to him. He thanked us. Another strange ritual. Predators rarely thanked prey. He drank slowly. Then asked one question. How many survived? Not how many humans. Not where he was. Not who captured him. Only how many survived. I assumed he meant his soldiers. The awakened women answered instead. Just us. The human closed his eyes. His shoulders fell. I recorded relief. Another mistake. It was grief. Hours later, our fleet prepared to leave. The rescued women would return home. The human would become a research specimen. An easy mission. A perfect ending. Then every alarm activated at once. Deep beneath the bunker. Something massive moved. The vibration cracked walls that had survived centuries. Emergency lights turned red. Ancient blast doors unlocked by themselves. The bunker had awakened. Our engineers insisted it was automated defense. I agreed immediately. Humans always trusted machines. Another comfortable conclusion. The human suddenly stood. For the first time. He looked afraid. Real fear. Not for himself. For us. And that terrified me far more than the alarms ever could. The human ran. Not away. Toward the shaking walls. That destroyed every conclusion I had written. Cowards do not charge into danger. Prisoners do not protect captors. Dying creatures do not sprint. Yet he did all 3. The bunker groaned. Dust rained from the ceiling. The awakened women stared after him. None of us understood. I believed he had gone mad. It was the safest explanation. Safe explanations had become my greatest weakness. I followed him. Curiosity defeated survival. The others came behind me. Every corridor woke at once. Ancient lights flashed. Steel doors slammed shut. Screens that had slept for centuries suddenly glowed. One message appeared everywhere. Last defense protocol active. I assumed it meant automated security. Machines protecting empty halls. Again, I was wrong. The human reached a blast door. His shaking hands flew across a cracked control panel. He did not hesitate. He remembered. After almost 2 centuries. How? Memory fades. Civilizations forget. Humans apparently do not. The bunker shook harder. Something hit the outer shell. The sound was enormous. Not an explosion. A knock. 1. Slow. Heavy. The human whispered only one word. No. I thought he feared death. Later I realized. He feared what survived it. The blast door opened. Beyond it stretched a cavern larger than cities. The bunker had not been built beneath the mountain. The mountain had been built over the bunker. At its center rested a machine beyond anything our science could explain. It was not elegant. Human machines rarely were. It looked scarred. Patched. Repaired hundreds of times. Every plate carried welding marks. Every cable had been replaced by another cable. It should not have functioned. It hummed. Alive. The human touched its side like greeting an old friend. I told you to stay asleep. The machine answered. Not with words. With silence. Then every monitor lit together. A single image appeared. Stars. Thousands of them. Then they disappeared. One by one. Something was consuming them. I dismissed it as archived data. Historical recordings. Fear distorts judgment. Reality ignored my comfort. The machine identified the object. Pursuer still active. My translator could not define the word. Neither could I. Then the mountain shook again. This time the ceiling cracked open. I looked upward. Darkness looked back. It had no shape. No wings. No body. Only absence. An impossible hole moving through solid rock. Our fleet above the planet transmitted one final message. Then silence. Every signal vanished. Not jammed. Gone. The human closed his eyes. He looked older than the mountain. I hoped it finally starved. No one answered. Because no one understood. One of my officers fired at the darkness. The plasma bolt disappeared. Not absorbed. Forgotten. Even the light ceased to exist. The officer smiled. He believed he had missed. I almost agreed. Then I noticed something impossible. The weapon's energy counter had not changed. It had never fired. Reality itself had rejected the event. The human grabbed the officer and threw her aside. The darkness struck where she had stood. The floor disappeared. Not broken. Erased. Perfectly. Without heat. Without debris. Without sound. There had never been a floor there. My instincts failed. Science failed. Language failed. The human did not. He dragged two injured women behind the ancient machine. He did not ask their species. He did not ask their history. He only saved them. I concluded humans protect useful assets. A logical military behavior. Then I watched him shield one woman with his own body. She had helped imprison humanity generations before. He knew. She wore the insignia. He protected her anyway. My conclusion collapsed. The machine finally spoke. Its voice sounded tired. Pilot authorization required. The human laughed. Actually laughed. I never wanted this job. He pressed his bleeding hand against the console. The machine accepted him instantly. Every wall trembled. Power flooded the bunker. The women stared. So did I? One whispered, "He's dying." She was correct. His heartbeat staggered. His lungs struggled. Blood soaked his sleeve. The machine displayed his condition. Terminal. Every organ failing. Life expectancy. 3 minutes. He ignored it. Humans apparently negotiate with death. Death usually loses. The machine revealed another message. Genetic key confirmed. Last human male verified. Silence swallowed us. Last. Not soldier. Not captain. Not survivor. Last. Everything suddenly made sense. The empty earth. The silent colonies. The lonely cryopod. The centuries of waiting. He had remained behind. Alone. To guard us. Not as people. Us. The captured women. Enemies. I searched desperately for a reason. There had to be strategy. Leverage. Future alliances. Hidden advantage. There was none. He had simply refused to abandon living beings. Even alien ones. My species teaches that survival belongs to the strongest. Humans apparently believe survival belongs to everyone. The darkness entered the chamber. The machine screamed warnings. Probability of victory. 0. The human smiled. Not because he expected success. Because someone else might live. He turned toward us. For once. He coughed blood. Don't wait. I thought he meant run. Every instinct agreed. Instead, every awakened woman ran toward the machine. Doctors. Pilots. Engineers. Scientists. Former prisoners. They understood before I did. The bunker had never been a prison. It had been an ark. Not to preserve humanity, to preserve everyone humanity could save. The human had spent centuries alone keeping strangers alive. Not because they deserved it, because they were alive. The machine requested additional operators. Alien biology rejected its controls. One by one, the women placed their hands beside his. Nothing happened. Then the human looked at them. Together, they touched his hand. The machine changed. It accepted them. Not as replacements. As family. The impossible darkness hesitated. For the first time. Fear. It feared them. Not because they were powerful. Because they had become human in the only way that mattered. They chose someone else's life before their own. The machine released a burst of light unlike any weapon. Not destruction. Memory. Hope. Every sacrifice. Every act of compassion. Every impossible refusal to surrender. The darkness vanished. Not killed. Driven away by something it could never consume. Choice. When the light faded, the human was gone. Only his handprint remained burned into the ancient console. I submitted my final report that day. Every academy rejected it. Every historian corrected it. They all claimed my opening sentence violated every law of life. They were wrong. Because I finally understood what I had witnessed. Every scientist mocked it.